Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, Chris Billam-Smith wins a unanimous decision over Isaac Chamberlain. Terrific, gruelling fight. One of those grinding wars that you think takes a few years off both fighters' careers. Really, it was certainly for Chamberlain. It was a hard day at the office. I predicted this fight to be a unanimous decision for Billam-Smith, 116, 112, I think I went for. And I actually had it 116, 112 to Billam-Smith. But the judges didn't. The judges had it, all three of them had it 117, 111. Can't argue with that. I think it was a fight of two halves. The first 6 rounds, I had it 3 each after 6 rounds. I thought it was tit for tat, one of those pendulum swinging fights where it goes one way, then it goes the other, and so on and so forth. Now, I have to say, I thought that it was probably a case of Chris Billam-Smith trying to impose his will on Chamberlain from the off. Okay, so we're talking use your physical strength, use your superior size. And yes, it was. He was successful in that, but at the same time, they were both cancelling each other out to some degree because Billam-Smith was getting in close and leaning on Chamberlain, but not leaving enough space between them. Just that little half step back to get your levers moving. And he was smothering a lot of his own work, and a lot of the punches were cuffing punches. Whether they were scoring or not, I don't know. Chamberlain seemed to have the attitude of, well, I'm going to lean on the ropes and let you shoot your bolts. But he wasn't making Billam-Smith shoot his bolts. He wasn't making him work. That is to say, he wasn't drawing the energy, drawing the sting out of him. And in the meantime, he was getting lent on and having his energy sapped. There was a terrific, I think it was the second round where early on, was it the second or third round? One of the early rounds where Billam-Smith stung Chamberlain, and then Chamberlain came back and really he seemed to hurt Billam-Smith. Billam-Smith, he wasn't staggered, but he didn't want to engage. He little skip around the ring, and then towards the end of that round, he came back and he definitely did sting Isaac Chamberlain. So it was, and that one round, I can't remember whether it was the second or the third. I think it was the third. It was tit for tat, and it kind of encapsulated the whole fight. At least within the first 6 rounds. Like I say, after 6 rounds, I had it 3 each. It was noticeable from the second round onwards that Isaac Chamberlain's left eye was beginning to swell. And in fact, by the end of the fight, it wasn't quite shut tight, but the swelling had increased. The swelling also on his right eye blew up sort of mid-rounds. By the end of it, he was looking very discoloured, very puffy around the face, around the eyes, and he had a cut over, I want to say it was the left eye, don't quote me on that, I could be wrong, and he had blood coming from his mouth. So clearly the heavier hands were coming from Billam-Smith, and the punches, in bunches if you like, were more a case of Isaac Chamberlain's work, but not really enough of it. Neither of them was really dominating to the point where you would say, well, that's a clear-cut round. I'm talking about the first half of the fight. Okay. Second half of the fight, it got to be a case of, and this is probably down to the fact that Chamberlain has been so inactive, it got to be a case of Billam-Smith took over. Not with much refinement, it was more a case of him, again, using his size and his strength. Such a big cruiserweight, Billam-Smith. Using his size and his strength to sort of wear down Chamberlain. Chamberlain, it got to the point where he was firing the odd pot shot, but all the fluidity had gone out of his work. He wasn't using his jab. It was up close and personal all the time. Again, Billam-Smith sort of drowning a lot of his own work by being a bit too close, but he was almost clubbing his way through the rounds. And Chamberlain, the smaller man, very much lacking in recent work. when I did my preview, I pointed out that I think Billam-Smith had done 49 rounds over the last 3 or 4 years, and Isaac had done about 6. So, I mean, they weren't completed rounds either, against much, much lower opposition, whereas Billam-Smith had been fighting against, you know, high-ranking guys, or, you know, I'm talking British and European level here, higher-ranking guys. So, you know, I think that really, the chickens came home to roost there. I think it really was a case of, had Isaac been busy, been fighting 10 and 12 rounders consistently, he'd have had a much better chance of winning. And the predictions, it wasn't just my prediction video, other people said the same thing. It was really down to A, the size of Billam-Smith, the physical strength of the man. If he makes the weight right, he's a huge unit in the ring at cruiser, and also his activity. And the lack of activity really was illustrating this fight, just how important activity is, because it affected Isaac very, very badly, I think, over the second half of the fight. Like I say, I made it 116, 112. Shane McGuigan deserves a lot of credit for what he's done with Chris Billam-Smith, who didn't turn pro till he was 17. Didn't pick up boxing, didn't take up boxing till he was 17. Turned pro and has won British, Commonwealth and European titles. The Commonwealth and European title were on the line for this fight. Isaac, he's got to just get busy. He signed a long-term deal with Mick Hennessy, and he may like Mick. Maybe Mick looks after him. I don't know the behind-the-scenes details. But he's got to be busier. He's just got to have more fights. And it's a shame, because the guy's got some guts, got some talent. I think he's 28 now, Isaac, and I think Chris is coming up to 32. So, you know, both these guys can have a future, but there is no substitute for experience, for getting in that ring and having some experience. And whether, even if it's just a 10-round, you know, workout with a decent quality gatekeeper or journeyman, that's good. That's good. But when you're fighting non-entities like Isaac was, you know, bombing them out in a round, and it's not going to work. It's not money in the bank. You know, you don't get any interest on that. So credit to Billam-Smith. Hopefully Isaac will come back. I like watching Isaac Chamberlain. I think he's a good fighter. And Chris as well. Chris is the more. I would say Chris is more a case of the how should we say this? You know, hard work and dedication can stretch your talent, which may not be massive. Don't get me wrong, Chris Billam-Smith isn't untalented, he is talented, but he's not what you'd call a natural world-class fighter. But the hard work and the dedication he's shown under the tutelage of Shane McGuigan is really paying dividends. And with Isaac, I think he's got probably more natural talent than Chris. Nevertheless, you know, he's got to get busy. You got to get busy, mate. You know. Anyway. Did you see the fight? Oh, it was a good fight, really good fight. Let me know what you think about it. As always, thanks for watching the videos. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Hit the subscribe button. It only takes a second. Like the video if you liked it, and let me know your thoughts below. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.